Welcome to the Vision Room. My name is Marcus Meazzo. This is Marcin Ruman, or Machin. That's how you say it.
Marcin.
With this podcast, we want to really have some fun. And this is called the Vision Room. And the point of the Vision Room is we want to talk about and deconstruct the process of taking a business from a vision to execution, from A to execution. And we're going to talk about lots of stuff that has to do with that, from roadblocks that businesses are having to get from their vision to the execution and to create a top trusted brand. I will tell you a little bit about, actually, I want to talk about you first, Marcian. Tell me a little bit about what you do specifically in that process. And then I can share what I do so that the folks at home can understand what we do. And then we'll go from there.
Yeah, awesome. We have our first audience. They're just joining our
There they
podcast.
are. Look at that. They're
We have,
waving at you, but it looks like they're not, but they are.
and then we have our birdie here, the yellow birdie on my shoulder, on my left shoulder.
Do you
So
have it?
welcome,
Yeah.
Marcus.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Do you have a
having me.
name for that birdie, by the way?
Oh, it's gonna be the Vision Bird
Got
because
it.
it's a Vision Room podcast.
Perfect. All right.
So,
We'll work on the
so,
name.
so thanks for organizing that and thinking enough of me for having me here. We met through a common client and we just discovered this awesome synergy of technology and then sort of brand design and architecture on the visual level that comes from you. And we just created this awesome blend
Mm.
and we found it very useful and successful with some of our clients that we've worked over the last 5 years. And then it turned into a podcast, which I'm happy that we're producing that. And Bradley, we're part of the group with Bradley, and Bradley says, "What's the difference between an idea and a big company?
What is it?
Execution."
I knew that answer.
So because it's a vision room, but we're talking about vision and execution. So you cannot execute if you have no vision, if you don't know what's the plan, what are you going to execute on specifically. And
And a vision without a plan is a wish. So without the execution piece, you can have a vision all you want, but it won't go anywhere. So the
that's
work
right.
yeah.
And my role here is on the technology execution side of things, and your role is on the vision, branding,
Right.
visual aspect of what we're doing. And I'm very high level right now. When I say technology, what does it mean specifically? Emersoft, that's my company. I started the company back in London, in the UK in 2017. And then we expanded to the US 4 years ago. And Emersoft really specializes in user experience, user interface. So UI, UX for some of the people that don't understand, what sometimes we're throwing those shortcuts and people don't know. Like I have calls with our professionals and they're like, "Oh, we do UX, UI, UX writing." And people have no clue. For example, I was on a call with a client today. The company does maybe $2 billion in revenue, huge business. And we're throwing those words, but we're professionals. We know what it means. People have no clue what we mean. At the end of the day, it's web technology, focused on user experience, user interface, meaning whatever you interact with. And then we've expanded over the last years and we've added DevOps, meaning developers who can engineer data and heavy backend services. And we've worked on multiple successful projects for small, medium-sized businesses here in the US. And we had the pleasure of working with Marcus on creating this beautiful vision for those businesses. And Marcus, let me ask you a question now.
Oh, okay. And I want to get back to your story though. I
Yeah,
think I want to tell you this is not just about just doing, right? This is all about knowing too. And we want to make sure I want to make sure the audience knows your story, your backstory beyond just your profession. Because y- if you know where we come from, I think that puts another facet and dimension around why people should listen. You come from the school of hard knocks. You're self-made. Would you agree? So from Poland,
totally.
being an orphan, why don't you talk a little bit about that and how you got from your vision to execution in your own life?
That's really yeah. Thanks for giving me a few minutes and
Yeah.
explaining my background here. But it's interesting that you mentioned a vision, because since I was a little kid and I was growing up in a very dysfunctional family, and then eventually I ended up in an orphanage when I was when I was maybe 12, I think 12, 13, when I ended up in an orphanage. So I was a teenager already. And then I always had this vision of what not to do. Sometimes I think it's awesome to reverse the process. And I didn't have many examples of what to do. I had many examples of what not to do.
Right.
And
Same.
that's how I started creating my vision of what not to do. Because when you know what not to do, then you've already excluded a part of, hey, we're not going there. We're not going, my family, my business is not going to be dysfunctional. I'm not going to be an alcoholic gambler and someone who is completely lost, like my family, my parents, no education. So I decided, hey, I'm going to be very practical. I have to be. I'm going to be, I'm going to learn what it means to create a business, what it means to be a productive member of society.
Right.
So I'm gonna be the opposite of what my family, because I just saw that we were extracting a lot. Extracting meaning, for example, my mother was a beggar, which is an interesting story. I'm happy to mention about it
Please
now.
go
But when
ahead.
I was a
Because
little,
I think this is our first episode. I want people at least get to know who we are. Who are these chumps talking to me about vision and stuff? Like, so yeah, please do. And
yeah,
then,
many people, I think it's maybe one of the first podcasts that I've ever revealed that my mother was a beggar, and then when I was 7, maybe 8 years old, I would go and ask people for money in front of a church. Not many people knew about that. And I don't know why my mother did that. She could go to work and earn money, but she decided to do that for some reason. Again, dysfunctional family. I'm not going to go into breaking this all down. We could just go for hours or until the
right,
next
right, right.
Christmas begins. I don't want to go into that. But my point is, there is a lesson to that. And that taught me something. It taught me to ask for help
Mm.
and seek. Matthew 7:7, ask and it
Knock.
should be answered. Knock and it should be open. So that's always been true in my life, even though I couldn't articulate, formulate, put a frame around it. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because me as a young entrepreneur, I also learned to ask for help. But now this is a different frame. It's not asking in front of a church. It's asking for help in a business setup. It's a different type of ask. And so that's what I see a lot of people struggle with. And sometimes I'm struggling with this as well. But it showed me that there's so many good people on this planet
Right.
that want to help, that want to guide you. And fast forward from the kid, very poor background. I was growing up in a post-communistic country in Poland, and then ended up in an orphanage. And I decided that I'm gonna number one, exclude everything that I've seen my parents did. And then I'm going to apply and look for mentors, look for guidance, look for people that are where I want to be. I'm going to this vision. That's where I started creating this vision. And I'm like, wow, how about I imagine, because I heard stories of people immigrating from Poland to the UK. And I heard that they managed to create a successful business and it was so, I've never, I never went on the plane until I was 19 years old. Never. I never traveled anywhere because didn't have any money. I
Yeah.
never fixed my teeth. I had crooked teeth. I fixed them later on in my 20s.
Did
But
you? That's great.
yeah, oh man, my teeth were so crooked.
Really?
And oh yeah. And so then I had this vision and then I started creating myself. And in this process of my vision, and that vision was very blurry. I just had the lights. So my first slide was, how about I need to learn how to speak English, number one. And number two, I need to immigrate to the UK, to London. So when I was 19, I graduated from this IT technical school in Poland. And I just booked one-way ticket to London, even though despite the people that I knew in Poland telling me, stay in Poland, you're going to end up sleeping under the bridge somewhere in London. And I didn't care. I'm like, and I had $500 maybe when I went with this one-way ticket to London. I did not know anyone, no one.
So what
And
gave you that? What gave you that?
vision,
Well,
vision. I
this,
had a lot. I didn't know
I've got
all
vision,
that.
and that's what pushed you to go to
That
London,
and
even
yes. So
even
so
at
going
the
back to the
most
vision.
dire circumstances. Right?
So I excluded what not to do. I've never smoked any joints. I was never involved in any drugs. I'm like probably the cleanest of the cleanest people that you've ever seen. I've never taken any drugs. I've never had issues with alcohol. Yeah, sometimes, occasionally, I'll have a drink to celebrate something. But because I've excluded everything of what not to do, then I went into vision. And that vision, because I didn't have many examples and I wasn't yet confident, I didn't have any capital. I didn't know how to do it, how to execute, but I had a lot of stamina and this vision started formulating. And one of the images that when I was younger, it was first like I saw families that were celebrating, for example, Christmas when I was walking around and singing carols to ask for money as well in Poland. And I saw those families that were sitting around the table together. And I'm like, oh, this is awesome. I've never had that with my family. I would love to have that
Powerful.
just in a normal family setting. And then the vision turned into, oh, wow, I see myself. I'm walking in central London. I'm not even in London. I'm walking in central London and I see myself walking with this kind of backpack or something for laptop. And I'm walking to my office in central London. I didn't know what I was thinking. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to London and I'll create that. So just to wrap it up quickly, because I want to go to this vision
Yeah.
and just to close the loop on it. So I created this vision of me first going to London and then creating a business. And then I just saw myself every day walking to the office with my laptop. And then five years, fast forward 5 years, I posted even on Instagram. I can show you after the recording or we can post it here. I'm literally going to our office in London, central London. We had a contract with Canon. I'm walking with this freaking suitcase and my laptop. I'm wearing a blue shirt. I still I had braces. So I was starting working on myself. I bought my first investment property, started traveling the world. That was maybe my third year in London. So I imagine from zero. And again, on some other podcasts, I explained like how I got there and all the jobs. But here I wanted to just go to and over like just an overview. And then I see myself that this vision has just realized. And I'm literally just living this vision. And I'm like, wow. what else can I thought about it 5 years ago and now I'm living this.
Mm,
So the next thing my next vision was, as I started traveling, my next vision was, I see myself in the US and I am building this huge business and we're helping thousands of people and families and we hire them. And I have this huge vision in the US. So the next question was, how do I take this London from the UK, this business from the UK with 20 employees, and how do we scale it to 1,000 employees? I want to help 1,000 families. I want to give work to 1,000 families and build a $1 billion business. And that's my vision. That's where I'm going. But at the end of the day, I also want to help kids in orphanages because I've been there and I've done that. And that's my next vision that's clarified now. And I have tools, I have capital, I have resources, I have also business partners like you. And that's the next vision.
I mean,
And
let's go.
that vision is compromised of the little smaller visions that some other people have. And then we meet here and we have a vision as well. Vision Room. I love the name, by the way. It's an awesome name
It just came to me like literally 5 minutes before we got on.
because
Guys,
you're creative.
whoever's listening, sometimes you just got to make a decision.
So, Marcus, maybe you're going to give us an intro because you work
Yeah.
for some of the biggest businesses.
Yeah. So what's crazy here,
Italiano.
what I love
Maybe
about,
tell us a little bit more about your
I will,
story and your experience.
yeah, first off, what I love about the contrast between Marcin and I is you can't have two complete opposites in one vision room. Marcin is linear. He's technical.
What do you mean by that? Explain that. Linear.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you. So Marcin is straight shooter. He knows what he wants. He gets it. Problem with me and most creatives, we have way too many ideas. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about either being paralyzed with too many ideas or having a good vision, but not even know how to execute. I know how to execute. See, that's the problem. It's easy for me to execute on multiple visions. And what happens is I just get bottlenecked because I want to do this and this. Oh, we can start this. I'm a starter. I'm also a finisher. That's rare because I can start something and I can finish something. And so my background is I'm a kid with ADHD. I didn't even know at the time. I knew it later in life, but I was all over the place when I was a kid. I went for about 5 or 6 different degrees, finished any of them, started them, didn't finish. I was
What
raised,
degrees did you go? What degrees did you go after?
oh, I went after business. I was going to be a doctor. I was going to be in hotel restaurant management. I was going to be all these things. And I was listening to other people, what I should be instead of having my own vision of where I should. And finally, I said, I'm none of those things. I'm a freaking creative. I was the first grader that got first place in drawing our school's school fair poster. I was the kid that was picked out of a bunch of kids in my art class to be the one that painted a mural from my art teacher for her office wall, which was Jerry behind Tom behind Jerry's the mouse. Tom is the cat running after Jerry on a Harley Davidson motorcycle with dust flying in the air. That was the mural. I don't know why I picked that, but I picked it. And so by the ripe old age of 26, I finally entered art school. So I was a late bloomer. I started late. I was always late to the game. But 20 years, I've been in this business for 20 years now, and I never looked back. So I've started my own design agencies. I've also worked for high tech big namers, PayPal,
We
eBay.
drop some
Yeah,
big names here.
yeah. PayPal was a great company I worked for. Loved being there. Shout out to Jacqueline Cisneros. and Anjali Desai. I'm going to just drop some names. Love them so much. Did some great work on with some other companies. Ended up working in Nashville for Dave Ramsey for a while. I was running some of his creative teams at first, and
Nashville's awesome.
Nashville's great. Then just started focusing on more being not managing people, but more focusing on building products with creative teams, including smartdollar.com. It was great. And yeah, and then I moved out here back to California because this is where all my family is. And we had a vision to come back out here because after 2020 pandemic, we took a hiatus, went around the country in an RV, which I highly recommend any
I
father does.
remember that we just started working together
Yeah, yeah.
when we did
And
that.
yeah, that's why I met you. And worked on CharityBooster.com, which is a great company. Loved working on that project with you. And now I have my own company called Meazzo Branding Company. And what I do is I help CEOs that have a vision and take that vision and make it a reality to create a top trusted brand in their industry. And how we do it, it all starts with the vision and the taking that idea and making it clear. Because the thing is that Donald Miller said this, if you confuse, you lose. And I love that. It says it perfectly. If you are not clear why you're doing what you're doing and what you're going to do to solve a problem, no one's going to believe you. And we need to make believers out of our customers. And the only way to do that is convince them that you can help them, one, and you can give them, you can help them and they can count on you. And a good brand is trustworthy, right? And so we'll talk about all that stuff too. How do we make a trustworthy brand out there in a sea of imitators? We would just say there's a lot of imitators out there. There's a lot of people just wanting to make a buck, which is noble.
How do you produce trust?
Do what you say. Let your yes be yes. We know that's a good biblical principle. Don't overpromise. That's a good one. Start where you're at. Start with what you can deliver on now. I know you may have a vision to do a million things, but this is some of the things I can offer. Like I try to do it all. I try to do too much. Start simple. What do you think about that, Marcin? Do you
Oh,
agree with?
totally, yeah. From the overpromise brings me always back to sales, to my sales training.
Yeah.
And remember, I just started sales, which I hated because I didn't understand it at the beginning, to then really being intrigued by and convinced that everything is about sales. Everything is about sales. But you don't doesn't mean you need to be selling like this
Like a
sort
car
of
salesman?
yeah, I don't know why
There's
I
a
don't like
stigma with sales, isn't there? There's like a
yeah,
stigma, like a sliminess.
yeah, I know. But at the end of the day, we're all selling. Kids are selling, we are selling. When we go to work, we're selling to our boss for the boss to employ us, or we're selling to the company that we work for because there are clients, someone is paying for our work. So we're selling. We're always selling. And that's why when I learned that we're selling regardless of what you think about it, of sales, then it dawned on me that I have to learn it. And so from overpromising, let's say you want to hire me, or let's say I go and I find this girl and I tell her, hey, and by the way, I can actually tell you, but I had some of the people telling me, hey, remove that black stallion from your Instagram. I'm like, why would you doubt me? Yesterday I posted about Satan, that what would Satan do? That's from Brad, actually. He talked about it. It's what would Satan do if you wanted you to fail? And then he would introduce obstacles. Like he would mm, sow fear and doubt, bring like unhealthy relationships.
Mhm.
And that made me think, about, oh wow. So why would I not over promise to myself? But so when I say over promise, I don't mean that I'm not gonna deliver. I'm gonna make you excited. I call it attitude. My attitude and my Pavel from our business is never overpromise. Never say that because they're gonna if you tell them our value is gonna go down. And it always triggers me because I'm like, I have so much energy to give to my clients, but obviously it's gotta be the right person. And we're gonna talk about it maybe in the next episode because not everyone is for you,
There's
as you
so much to
said,
talk about.
right?
We could talk about a million roadblocks that keep people from taking their vision into reality. And one of those roadblocks that you just talked about is self-doubt. Another is not a lack of being able to pitch or sell. A great book, The Winning Without Pitching Manifesto, great book about selling value without looking like you're selling. Some people have a problem with sales, right? Some people
Totally.
feel like, oh, like I don't want to lose my soul when I sell. And some people go, I don't sell. I just build relationships. And that's
Bro, how about when you go back to, it always triggers and brings like the memory when when my mother was begging in front of a church.
mm,
Just think about it. Set you're 7, 8 years old and you go with your mother. You don't know what's going on around you. You know that your friends are gonna laugh at you if you go to school. They think that you're a freaking normal guy, and you go. But some of them they probably knew, but
mm,
I was so ashamed in my childhood of that. I was I n- never told about it to anyone. So it's actually I'm revealing some stuff on this podcast.
I
So
hope
this
you're
is
okay
very
with that.
personal, guys. But the
Mm,
reason I'm telling you this is because of this experience. It taught me something. To ask, there are good to ask. Don't be afraid to ask. There are good people, and then show up because those people who are meant to help you, who are meant to work with you, they will stay with you. Those people that's supposed to go, that are negative, complaining, they're sabotaging you, and they're demeaning, they need to go. They need to go. A- And with the over promising, I just want to close the loop on that because I always have this conflict of what's it mean over promise? If I say that I'm going to deliver XYZ, I need to be clear. That's communication. And we're going to do a podcast on that as well. And I'm learning communication every day, bro. Every day. But I've been practicing. You've been practicing a lot.
doing
A- a-
great.
a- And the point is, overpromise with your energy, with your attitude. But the deliverables on the contract, they need to be clear. Don't be a scammer.
Right. Exactly.
That's what
That's
I mean.
that's
When
what
you
it's
overpromise with your energy, with your values, with that it aligns, and make them assure that you're the guy. So they're like, I want to hire you. Like I've had clients who wanted to hire me and they're like, dude, who are you? So what do you get? What's the word in English? Like when someone is like impressed with you.
impressed,
Yeah. Yeah. It says,
drawn to you. I don't know. Is that
yeah.
what?
So that's when I say overpromise. I just wanted to make it clear of what I,
Yeah, I think there are two things, right? One is over promising, meaning like telling the world we create consistent, amazing tasting chocolate every time with a smile. Okay. Now, sometimes one of your employees won't be smiling that day. People can get really nitpicky and say, oh, there's no smile, then forget this brand. I doubt they're going to do that. But I'm talking more of a major deliverable, a major promise that doesn't get met as someone's experiencing that brand versus an attitude. I think attitude, we should always be delivering our best attitude towards people. Actually, that's the very thing I think that builds trust initially. That's called that's getting in the gate to me. People get in the gate with great attitude. Where remember that I don't know who's the woman that invented Spanx. I forgot her name, but sorry, but
Sarah Blake.
Sarah Blake. Had she delivered over not over promised, but she was excited about what she did. She was excited. She believed in that product so much. It it came out of her person. It came out of how she delivered her the promise of what this product did. She got people excited about it because it came from her heart. And that we talk a lot about belief. If you don't believe in what you do, it's not going to come through. Don't believe in what you do,
Amen.
it's not going to come through. And you
Amen.
have to believe, or you're going to, they're going to see people to see right through your BS. So it starts with, so these are all the things I want to talk about, Marcia, there's so much to talk about. So today, this was more as just getting our butts in gear and just starting our first podcast. That's really what this today was for. And just saying hi to everybody. But I'm excited. I'm excited about sharing people what we believe in and what we want to do for people. I am so excited about people that have a vision that really changes people's lives. That's what I'm excited to do for people is to help them make that happen. And by the way, I'm the poster child of the guy that never wanted help from anybody because I was brought up, you got to do yourself. You got to do it yourself. And that I don't believe that anymore. That's why I have been starting just recently to start investing in myself. We belong to the same mastermind. Shout out to Brad Leah and Will Stern.
Bradley and William.
Sir. And this was my actual first mastermind that I really paid for, besides another one I did for building an online product. I needed that help. If I felt like I was taking forever getting to from point A to point Z for myself. I was helping everybody else, but I wasn't serving myself. So you need, if you want to get your vision, if you want to fast track your vision, get the help, even if it costs you money that you're very uncomfortable spending. Is not spending, it's an investment. And I'm telling you, even though you may not think so, you're going to get 100x from what you put in. Because then the bottleneck's gone. You can now go and move. Anyway, Marcin, you want to say anything else before we end this first podcast? This first,
Yeah, Marcus, I want to thank you. Thank you for number one, thinking enough of me to have me as a partner on this podcast.
heck yeah.
Number two, thank you for the last 5 years of working together on many projects. And number three, thank you for putting this together, because execution is the difference between an idea and a big company.
Huge. And back to you, like you've pushed me beyond my comfort zone in some ways.
That's why we need to be on a team. Like
That's why we need each other. Yeah.
Like, I love helping people. I'm the happiest when I'm helping people, but I cannot help anyone if I can help myself. So
So
maybe it's a little therapeutic as well, sitting here,
yeah,
because
no,
I'm
and yeah, we hope it's not just a business channel to help entrepreneurs with their vision and to maybe get some help because we are here to help. You can go to emersoft.co, emersoft.co,
Emersoft.ai. It's in here. I don't know if
or
it's gonna be recorded.
yeah, oh
Emersoft
yeah, there it is.
dot
Emersoft.ai
Emersoft EMERSOFT dot AI.
or meazzo.com, meazzo.com. You can call or get in contact with either of us. And we usually like to move as a team. So we'd love to help you. We have two different companies, but we do work together a lot. He's in
And we
Texas.
organize webinars. So more on that on the next podcast. We're here to add value. That's why we're here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And please do comment. We want to hear this is again our first one. So if you give us any feedback, would love it. We want to build a community. We don't want this to be just a one-way conversation. We want everybody to talk. This is about business. This is about soul. This is about helping each other win and without losing our soul. Yeah. So that's it. Thank you, Marcin, and excited to get this thing off the ground.
Thank you, Marcus. Thank you, guys.
See you
Talk to you
guys.
next time.
Bye. Hold on.